Ever wonder why learning a second language as an adult can feel like such a struggle when you learned your first one as a baby without even thinking about it? It's a huge puzzle, right? We all pull off this linguistic miracle once in our lives. So why is round two so different? Okay, let's get into it and really unpack the science behind all this. So first things first, let's look at what scientists call L1 acquisition. That's your first language. It's this incredible thing that literally every single one of us has done. And because it's so universal, so seemingly effortless, it's really easy to forget just how insanely complex the whole process actually is. And what's so wild is just how predictable this whole journey is. It doesn't matter what language or culture, kids all over the world hit the same major milestones in pretty much the same order. You've got the cooing, then the babbling, and then bam, around age 1, those first incredible words pop out. And by 5, they're using super complex sentences. It's not like they're following a textbook. It's just this universal human blueprint unfolding. And the craziest part is, this whole process is basically subconscious. As the famous linguist Noam Chomsky said, we don't teach a kid to speak any more than we teach them to walk. It's like they're pre-wired for it, and the ability just emerges. They're not sitting there studying grammar rules, right? They just soak up the language system all around them. And this really proves that kids are not just little parrots mimicking what they hear. No way. They're constantly coming up with sentences they have absolutely never heard an adult say, like more outside or all gone cookie. So the key thing to get here is that they are actively building a language system, a set of rules, completely from the ground up. Okay, so that's the miracle of your first language. But what happens when we try to do it all over again with a second one, an L2? Well, this is where the path gets a whole lot more complicated, and for most of us, a whole lot more conscious. This slide really just nails the difference. When you learn your L1, it's subconscious, and you're starting with a totally blank slate. But with an L2, you're putting in conscious effort, and you are not starting from scratch. You've already got a fully formed language system running in your brain. And that first language is always there, kind of backseat driving and trying to apply its own rules to this new situation. This leads to this really cool concept called interlanguage. Basically, the way a second language learner speaks isn't just a broken version of the language they're trying to learn. No, it's its own unique, logical, and systematic language. So for you as a learner, this is a huge mindset shift. Your mistakes aren't failures. Think of them as evidence of your own personal language system growing and changing. So let's bring this back to you, the learner. Because unlike that universal journey every kid takes, the path to learning a second language is deeply, deeply personal and shaped by who you are. The million-dollar question, isn't it? Everybody asks this. It's why we're so amazed when we see kids pick up a new language flawlessly while their parents might struggle for years. So is there some kind of magic window for learning a language? Well, the science does point to something called the critical period hypothesis. The idea is that our brains are just way more flexible and receptive to language before puberty. And this is especially true for getting that perfect native-like accent. But, and this is a big but, it is not a locked door. As an adult, you can actually learn things like grammar and vocabulary much faster than a kid at the beginning. You just might have to be more intentional and put in more deliberate practice when it comes to pronunciation. Okay, so what about that one friend we all have? The one who seems to just soak up new languages like a sponge. Are some people just born with a gift for it? Is there a language gene? The research basically says, kinda. But it's not magic. It's a real thing called language learning aptitude. Now, this isn't about being smarter in general. It's a very specific set of cognitive skills that just makes the whole process of learning a new language a bit faster and easier for some people. And we can actually break down what this aptitude is made of. It comes down to things like having a good ear for new sounds, a knack for spotting grammatical patterns, a solid memory for new words, and being good at figuring out rules on your own. But here's the best part. This isn't just something you have or you don't. You can actively work on and improve every single one of these skills. So we've got age and we've got aptitude. But how does the learning actually happen in our brains? To understand that, we have to zoom out a bit and look at the big scientific theories, which mostly fall into two camps. First up, let's look at the theories that focus on the mind. These ideas argue that language learning is fundamentally an internal cognitive process. It's all about what's happening inside your skull. So you've got the innatist view, which is famously linked to Noam Chomsky. This theory suggests we're born with a kind of language blueprint in our brains, something called universal grammar. Think of it like a computer that comes pre-installed with an operating system for language, and all we have to do is listen to the world around us to activate the right settings. Then there's a different perspective from cognitive psychology. It says, hold on, language isn't that special. Learning a language is like learning any other complex skill, like chess or playing the piano. This model sees your brain as a computer with limited processing power, limited RAM. You can't focus on everything at once, so you have to make things automatic. And this is pretty much how that happens. At first, trying to form a sentence takes every ounce of your concentration. That's called controlled processing. But with tons and tons of practice, those skills eventually become automatic. The big takeaway here is that practice isn't just important, it's non-negotiable. The goal isn't just to know a grammar rule. It's to use it so many times that it becomes completely effortless. But of course, we don't learn a language locked in a room by ourselves, right? So the other major group of theories says that what happens between people is just as crucial as what happens inside their heads. The interaction hypothesis says that the real magic happens in conversation. It's in those moments when you don't understand something and you have to stop and say, wait, what did you mean? Or can you say that again? That struggle to understand each other, to negotiate for meaning, is where the deep learning happens. So the practical tip here is huge. Passive listening isn't enough. You have to get in there and interact. And building on that is sociocultural theory. This idea sees thinking and speaking as two sides of the same coin. Here, learning happens when you're interacting with someone who knows a little more than you do, and they provide you with support or scaffolding to help you express yourself. Think of it like training wheels on a bike. So for you, this means finding a language partner or a tutor who can patiently help you build your sentences. It's a total game changer. So, after all that, which theory is the right one? Is it all about what's in your mind, or is it all about your interactions in the world? Well, it turns out that's actually the wrong question to be asking. It's not one or the other. It's the interplay of all of it. The reality is, your language journey is this big, complex, dynamic system. It's a dance between what's happening inside your head, your natural aptitude and how you process information, who you are as a person, your age, your motivation, and the world around you, your opportunities to actually use the language and talk to people. Understanding all this doesn't give you one single magic trick, but it does give you a map. It shows you all the different levers you can pull to improve. So the real question isn't, why is this so hard? The real question is, knowing that it's this mix of your mind, your personality, and your social world, which part of your language journey are you going to focus on next?